welcome to another edition of the Bullheaded Podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zoo and Peebush. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, man. Up 3-0, both respective teams, East and West Conference and the NBA Conference Finals, man. Got some money coming my way. I'm very happy about it, man. Go Miami Heat. Roll Heat culture, man. Shout out Pat Riley and Spo.
Yeah, not gonna lie, man. I sort of hopped on the Miami Heat bandwagon the last two games, man. I saw the plus money, plus 550, man, plus 300 money line. I'm like, these are some 50-50 games, man. You give me those odds, I can't resist. Cash them both, man. It's a beautiful thing. Himmy Butler. I can't believe the Bulls let this brother go, man, for Chris Dunn and Laurie Marketing, man. I can't believe that day happened. But as a Bulls fan, I'm rooting for my boy Himmy. He's getting it done. He's showing the world that the bubble year was not a fluke. A lot of other teams showing the bubble year was not a fluke. That was the purest form of basketball, and it's pretty much proving it right now because these guys are playing like absolute superstars right now. And the reason these guys are winning is because they're outplaying their counterparts on the other team. No doubt about it. It ain't about the role players, man. It's about star versus star. You're outplaying your stars, and obviously you bring your boys with you, man. So shout out to these guys getting it done because they're putting themselves out there, man. Because these guys are up 3-0, underrated all season.
I will say, speaking of Himmy Butler, he is not a cash cow because I'm not getting paid, but he is a social media darling. Because anytime I post him on any of my accounts, it goes nuclear. Like more than any other star. Like it's Jimmy Butler is, I kind of almost feel like some would say like the fan favorite, but he's definitely like the social media favorite. Grant, I will say Grant Williams helped with that on, I think that was Thursday night. I think that was when it was. That definitely helped because it just kind of give me a little bit of, because right when I saw that, I was like, this is money. Like I'm going to be able to put this, and this is just going to get a lot of engagement because Grant did what he did. But yeah, speaking of the conference finals, man, it's been a, lackluster effort for two of the four teams, and say that, a lot of people were, kind of maybe 50-50 with Lakers and Nuggets. And for the most part, those series have been competitive. Our games have been competitive, but, going to the other side with, the Heat and Boston, it's just been an old-fashioned butt whooping. And, I wanted to ask the guys, what are their thoughts on the conference finals so far? And, Zoo, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Man, as an avid fan of my boy Joker, the best player in the world right now, man. He got a sidekick, man. I'm telling you, this Jamal Murray, man. We got to scrap Bubble Murray. It's playoff Murray. Like, he's actually building a resume in the playoffs that extends past the bubble. Like, this dude is averaging 35 points in the conference finals. He's averaging 30. He is outplaying both LeBron James and Anthony Davis. His scoring ability, like, this dude is the anti-Harden. The lack of confidence that this dude just does not get knocked out. Even when he misses, like in that game where he scored 20 plus in the fourth quarter, he was having an awful game. He shot over 5%. Like, he was off. Like, but he kept shooting because the dude believes in his work, has ultimate confidence, and this guy just plays. He just, when the lights are brightest, man, this guy just shines bright, man. He shines like a diamond in the brightest lights, man. And this guy is just the perfect compliment to a guy like Joker. Joker is a pass-first player. Jamal Murray is a score-first player. And that dribble handoff that Joker has with Jamal Murray is just beautiful to watch, man. Like, those are some of the easiest assists Joker ever gets, man. You just get the ball, set him a big screen, man. He gets the ball, he pops the three immediately. It's beautiful to watch. And then the two-man game, they do a little pick and roll, pick and pop, man. Off that action, they have snipers. And Michael Porter Jr., that dude's one of the best catch-and-shoot three-point shooters in the league right now. He's having an unbelievable series playing his role. Shout out to Bruce Brown. That dude is balling, too. Being like the sixth man of the year for that team right now. He's getting double-digit points consistently and hitting some threes, too, which is probably surprising because he's more of a slasher. And KCP, the guy the Lakers let go for Russell Westbrook, man. This guy is the definition of a 3-and-D guy, man. He's having some huge playoff games where he just hits a bunch of threes. He had like 12 points in a quarter in that one game. So right now, the role players are fitting perfectly. Outside like Aaron Gordon, that's the dude that can't shoot at all. Outside of that guy, everybody on this roster can shoot the three-point ball. They're fluid on offense. Mike Malone is talking that shit right now in the press conference. I love everything about this Nuggets team, and they're on the verge of sweeping a Los Angeles Lakers team that has, like, they've been playing pretty well. It's not the Lakers been shit in the bed or the coaching's been atrocious. It's been the Denver Nuggets just balling in the fourth quarter and closing out some contested games. Because a lot of these games, man, they've been extremely close. But Jamal Murray closing some games, Joker closing that last game, dropping 50 points in the fourth quarter while Murray cooled down a bit. My goodness, it's beautiful to watch. And when this Nuggets team, I'm telling you, when they got healthy, man, when all their pieces are loaded, the pieces just fit perfectly. And they're showing it right now against this Los Angeles Lakers team. Like, it's not even been close. Like, they're 3-0. They're on the verge of sweep. Yeah. He's sweeping a LeBron James team right now. And it's not Anthony Davis is injured. LeBron is injured. Like, LeBron obviously had that foot injury, but he's still been a productive all-star caliber player. So I don't want to hear that right now. Like, both these guys are playing. It's just Darvin Ham got some adjustments to make. As I said, D-Lo is one of the worst playoff performers I've ever seen in my entire life. In the regular season, he's a very productive player. But in the playoffs, like I still remember last year when he was on the Timberwolves, he got benched for like a G League level point guard because he was so bad. He was that bad. And this year, finally he got benched for Dennis Schroeder. Like, I don't know, it took Darvin Ham. There was some rumors about losing D'Lo in the locker room, like his focus. Who cares, man? You're on the verge of getting swept. I don't care about D'Lo's feelings. Get your ass in the bank. You're making $30 million, man. This is sometimes I get really annoyed by NBA players who are supposed to be stars making $30 million, and he's a role player. He's extremely streaky. He's in the level like a Malik Beasley, man. You got a spot right next to him on the bench, man. You can't hit your threes. You're not playing. You're not playing.
Thank you for not saying Kyle Lowry, Zoo, because Kyle
Lowry has been playing a good role.
Boy. Yeah.
He's D'ing up. He's hitting 3-point shots. D'Lo, only highlights I see of D'Lo are after the game when he's practicing his 3-point shots when he's draining threes, man. Those are the only highlights I see of D'Lo. Post-game highlights.
This series, that's all you see.
You know, it's funny, though.
I don't know why they keep doing that, too. Why they keep showing that.
I think they're 7-0 when he scores 15, and they're 1-7 when he doesn't. Yep. So, I mean, I'm not saying he's the pivotal deciding factor.
Oh, he's the X factor.
Play well. They need him to play well.
They need him to score.
Yeah. And he just can't. I mean, it's bad shots. When he's taking open shots, I mean, he can hit them. We all know what he can do. I don't know if it's nerves, if it's whatever, but man, this Lakers team, I mean, Rui's just been an absolute find, and then you got all this.
Rui, he's
unreal. Rui and Reeves.
I love his.
Reeves is shooting like 60% from three, which is crazy,
he was
bro.
5-9 last game. I'm included him in my parlay for tonight, man. 2+ 3-pointers for Austin Reeves, man. It's an absolute.
That might be an easy cash.
That's an easy cash.
Easy cash.
But yeah, man, Zoo, I'm gonna echo everything you got to say about this series, man. I thought, I will say, and then Sean, going back 2 weeks here, this AD, Jokic argument that we had. AD has played great defensively in this series. Jokic has struggled. He has not been shooting the 57, 58, 60% that he usually shoots. He's getting under 50%. AD's getting a couple blocks per game. Another aspect of the parlay that is put in tonight, 2 blocks plus for AD. Fingers crossed, man. But that offensive inconsistency, man. That game too. I don't even know what to say. He was missing every little bunny layup, little floaters. Like AD just dunked.
He shot his wad in the game one with 40. That's why. That was the inconsistency.
That was it.
Shot his wad
and it wasn't enough. Exactly. Yeah. So it's 40, and then he's back down. He had a decent game in game 3. I think he had like 28. But man, the thing that's really annoyed me is LeBron relying on his 3-point shot, man. I know he's probably tired at this point.
He's tired.
It's been a long season. He's getting old. But if you're going to go 0 for 6, 0 for 7, man, maybe just realize that, hey, your boy Austin Reeves, I know he trusts him a lot, and he actually does give him a lot of leeway. The man's 5 for 9 from 3-point. Maybe swing it around. Get it to some of the other guys that are making better shots. I don't know, man. I just think LeBron realizes that he needs to do a lot in order for this team to beat the Nuggets, who are at a different level this year. But, man, it's tough to watch because you are seeing a bit of the decline. But I think it is a lot with age and just tiredness, man. He's had to do a lot this year, even with the injury that he had towards the end of the season. They still need LeBron to be not necessarily where we've seen him in years past, but he needs to be stepping up a little bit more. But it's 3-0, man. I don't see anybody coming back from this.
Yeah, his lack of explosiveness, man. You just see it, the eye test, man. He's just not as fast. Can't blow by anyone. And even when he gets the rim, he's missing bunnies. Obviously, you guys see that miss. He was attempting that scoop dunk.
Obviously, D-Rose MSG.
Yeah, he was trying to do the D-Rose against the Celtics dunk, man. He tried to pull that off, obviously missing that. He blew a couple of layups in the clutch. Like he had a missed layup that would have tied the game. Like he missed a lot of bunnies at the rim. And I'm going to attribute some of that to age, obviously, his explosive, some of it to the foot injury that he suffered right before the playoffs. So those are two main factors of his lack of explosiveness and probably why he's relying on the three-point shot. But he's been one of the worst three-point shooters in the playoffs this season. Like, he's been god-awful. And I'm the Nuggets. I would applaud him to keep shooting threes, man. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Jesus Christ. Like, he's not shooting any threes, obviously. D'Lo not hitting threes. Like, shout out to Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves because they are playing their role to a T. Like, those guys are going to get paid. Those guys are going to get paid. Because Rui Hachimura is a catch-and-shoot guy that can also play physical defense as a bigger 6'7", 6'8" wing. He's been a terrific player that can fit on a lot of rosters. Like, there's going to be a lot of suitors that be like, "Yo, we get this Rui Hachimura guy. He could fit on every NBA
Makes you
team.
wonder what was
a wing.
makes you wonder what was going on in Washington. Like, maybe it was just
I don't know.
Bradley Beal.
Kuzma kind of just dimmed that star. Like, that Bradley Beal, he's a star there. So I guess everything goes through him. But I've been saying he's top 10, top 12 pick. Like, he has the talent. So I mean, I think if you're a Lakers fan, you're looking at this like, well, we do know who we're gonna pay, and we know who. And I mean,
Kyrie.
I think they've already made the decision on
going
to
pay. But yeah, I think D'Lo kind of played himself out of there. I think Kyrie's like gonna get a lot of media thing, but if I'm LA, I would not do that because then you're gonna put yourself in relying on a Kyrie, AD, LeBron, and just a bunch of filler players. Like, that's just not gonna work. And you see this formula of like having like you got a scenario where you got Reeves, who, I mean, we just gotta give it up. He's a legitimate guy now. Like, he's a guy that's gonna get 20+ million, and it might be hard for the Lakers to match because he might get a nice contract from somebody else because he's playing like a guy who's wanting to be a co-star next to another star somewhere. Like, that's how he's playing. Now, Rui, I think, is going to need a little bit more time to become a stronger like force in terms of offensively becoming a go-to scorer. But defensively, like Zoo was saying, he's there. But to me, the story of we knew what Jokic was going to do, but Murray, like, his whole just burst of offense is what has really changed the series. Because, like, even in that game too, he didn't play as well, but that fourth quarter where he just went off, that kind of was, and I was talking to Zoo like after the pod. I was like, if LA doesn't get that split, the series is over. Because I think in the first two series, even with Memphis, even though they were kind of in disarray with Ja and all that stuff, like getting that split, even though necessarily if you're the home team that got, you didn't protect home court, if you get a split or whatever in LA, then you're fine. But weirdly, with LA being the 7th seed, if you get that split with the home team that's the higher seed, the pressure goes on them now because now you're looking at LA, how they play at home. You got LeBron and AD. You're going to have a little bit more momentum versus with the Nuggets. They're already the number 1 seed. They got those first. I think if they would have lost the second game, I think the Nuggets would still have control of the series, but it might be a little different. I think the pressure then, because in game 3, you could just tell when they were shooting the ball, like they had no type of like KCP, none of those guys were like nervous. It was just Murray's going up and down the court doing floaters in the lane. Like, you could just tell they had no type of like nerves. Like, and you could see it on the other side of LA, even though the game was close. Like, you can just kind of see it was just a little bit more. It was, not saying like, Rui and Reeves played well, but I'm just saying I felt like the entire team, especially with D'Lo, and I hate to center on him, but he just hasn't played the best. And I also think too, I feel like I don't know if he was just trying to do too much because there was a couple of plays where he was just, I know he's a point guard, but like he was a couple of plays where he was just throwing the ball away. It was just like, you're on this team, this specific team, like LeBron and Reeves need to be the decision makers, and you need to just be the guy like how D-Book is. Just go get buckets. Just like spot up, get to the lane, do whatever you got to do the little crossover. Like, that's your role. And I feel like when he was trying to play make, that was just a nail in the coffin. And, to your point, P-Wish, with you saying like when he's scoring 15 points, the team is 7-0. I think Darvin Ham was just like, well, hell, like if I could just get D'Lo to that point of 12 to 13 or 14 points, maybe we'll have a chance. Because with Schroeder, he's a good defensive guy, but you can't stick him on Murray. And to me, I think that's just been the name of the series. Like, I will say I kind of underrated a little bit too Denver's supporting cast, but I don't want to say that because they've been playing this well all year,
all season.
I just think Murray matching the energy of Jokic in terms of how Jokic has been dominant in the first couple of series. Like, Murray has he's because I guess you can kind of look at Murray as a 2 guard. Like, he's kind of put himself in a conversation like, look, I heard all the crap about Devin Booker. I heard all the crap
He's
about, even though Bradley Beal hasn't won anything, like he's heard the chatter of like all these guys getting mentioned and him being off the year before. I think he was definitely waiting for this moment. And now that they got to the conference finals, he's just like, oh, listen, shout out to Aaron Gordon, those guys like taking over disrespect, but Murray is, and I think they get into the finals. He's going to be the key factor. I think he's going to be the key factor.
MPJ hits threes.
KCP,
hits
I like KCP's a nice
Brown,
factor
man,
too,
because he plays defense too. He's more physical. Like MPJ, I think we talked about this. Like he's not a slasher. He's not a driver. He's a pull up in your face, catch and shoot.
Yeah, one of the best shooters in the league.
Exactly. It's like, and it's beautiful to watch. I think he is one of the purest.
He's like
forms.
man.
Pulls pass off, man. But what are you gonna do? So,
Wait, what?
I mean, but this Bruce Brown.
Oh yeah. He was lottery or late lottery.
Yeah, he was lottery.
He was 14th.
But Bruce Brown, man, I think it's just like his attack. He's just pretty much a better shooting Aaron Gordon for them, and he's a little smaller. He's less athletic, but like he's the everyman guy that you want coming off your bench. And if he's increased his productivity in the playoffs as well. And we saw what he did with the Nets with KD. I mean, he was pretty productive there too.
Yeah, he was very productive as like the Gary Payton guy the smaller guy that acts like
taller Gary Payton that can shoot.
Yeah, he shoots a lot better than Gary Payton.
Not better, not just a corner three.
It's actually like PJ Tucker a little bit, but like better.
Oh, he's way better. Yeah, his activity, like PJ Tucker just camps in the corner and chucks those three.
He's probably younger too, because PJ Tucker's up in age. So I mean. Yeah, he's kind of
he's Jamal Murray though. Guy, but I'm telling you, this guy in the playoffs,
beautiful.
His career average, 26 points a game. 26. That's top 20 all time. That's top 20 all time in the career of all NBA players. So this guy in the playoffs, he's a superstar. He plays like a superstar in the playoffs. Like him and Jokic, the complementary fit of these two guys, it's just like a match made in heaven right now. So like when you got two stars that skill sets complement perfectly. Like it's beautiful to watch, and this Denver Nuggets team, man, about to roll the Lakers, man, and probably they're on pace to win an NBA championship. So, shouts to the Denver Nuggets.
They've grown into the league together. That's the other thing. They've grown into the league together. So it's just, even though Murray's had his injury issues, he's still always a presence, and you can tell that they just have the chemistry, man. It's beautiful to watch.
First NBA Finals appearance in the history of the Denver Nuggets franchise. So
that is, and that's wild because I had to go against my Rolodex because I know they didn't go with Carmelo, but I was like, dang, I felt like they was in a finals like maybe before that. Like it's
a pretty mediocre franchise, man. It's a pretty mediocre franchise.
Alex English was really their best player for years.
Alex English was a guy shooter. Yeah,
he was nasty. It's just wild. Underrated superstar from back in the day, but discussion.
Speaking of teammates that have grown together, there's also a pair of teammates that allegedly grew together in the playoffs last year when they went to the finals, and everybody was like, okay, look, this is their maturation process. They're going to be able to learn from this. Tatum's going to understand how to be more of a leader. Brown's going to assume his role. They got all the Rolodex. And then I will say the Ime situation did.
That's huge.
Everybody like
this would not have to
everybody off. Like that was not something we had in our Rolodex. It was like, oh yeah, this is just part of the story of the Boston Celtics. Like that did happen. But I think what we're seeing now in the playoffs is transitioning to the Heat and the Celtics. Like, I'm just going to get this out the way because this is not the reason why the Boston Celtics are down 3-0. But I will say Joe Mazzulla does look like he's a little overwhelmed. And I will say that the team is not responding. And last night was, at least when you think about the Celtics, you think about they're like the Blue Bloods in terms of the NBA franchises. When you think about the Celtics, you think about all the history they have. Like, you do not think of a Boston Celtics team looking how they did last night just in terms of effort, not even just the score. You get blown out. But in terms of just effort, where I see Peyton Pritchard at the beginning of the fourth quarter running – like, what? Peyton Pritchard's in the beginning of the fourth quarter running around, running plays. Like, what? Like, when I saw that, I was like, Boston just laid down. Like, huh?
You know what Peyton Pritchard is? The white flag, man. That's the white flag.
Yeah.
The game's over.
Literally.
Game's over.
I was just like, what? Like that was just so shocking to see. It was Larry Bird, Bill Russell, rest his soul, even though Larry Bird's still alive. Bill Russell, any of the Pantheon greats that played for the Celtics were rolling over in their grave watching that game last night. They were so disgusted watching it. So I'll just get Missoula out. Like, listen, he's been overmatched, but to me, that is not the reason why they're.
It was a bad situation because, like, speaking of Missoula, he was put in last second. Like, legit, all the coaching search was over. Like, that inmate situation obviously happened. Like, training camp's about to start, so they just plucked the guy off the bench pretty much. Just like behind the second row. Because, like, out of the experienced, like, assistant coaches, Will Hardy, the dude went to Utah. Like, he's doing pretty well in Utah right now. So, obviously, the more experienced coach, they were seasoning him up. Obviously, him and Danny Ainge connection, they popped him over there. He's doing a terrific job over there. So, out of the experience, like, even assistant coaches, that was the dude that they were grooming. But he went to another situation. Like, they probably like, God damn, maybe get this brother. Kept him for a couple more months, man. He would have been the head coach, and he probably would be doing a lot better job because, dude, Missoula's 34.
Yeah, he's young.
He's super young. There's a lot of NBA players that are older than this dude. And
Al Horford's 2 years older than him.
Yeah. I'm like, legit. I'm like, and like the dude has like zero NBA coaching experience. Like, he just has barely any experience as a head coach. And you want to coach a team that went to the NBA Finals. And then freaking Ime Udoka, who's had an unbelievable coaching season. And that dude's sitting on the bench for a while. So obviously he was just not ready for the situation. Obviously he's getting exposed by Eric Spoelstra right now, who's doing an unbelievable, like Eric Spoelstra, man, like when he's top 15, he a real top 15 because that dude is doing an unbelievable with Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and the role players, aka the undraftees, man. They are getting it done, and the way they built the system around Jimmy Butler as a primary ball handler and the shooters, man, is beautiful to watch. It is beautiful to watch because, my goodness, the shoot like
they shot 50%.
Gabe Vincent, man, he goes shoot like some Steph Curry.
29.
He just pulls up, man, fast break pull-ups, man. God, it is incredible to watch, man. So what the Miami Heat have embarrassed the Celtics, man. Like, I knew the series would be close, but I didn't think it was going to be an embarrassment like this. Because, like, Miami Heat, man, like, talent-wise, I think objectively the Celtics have more talent on their side of things and more experience pretty close, too. But Jimmy Butler without Tyler Hero, too, probably was their third best player. Getting it done with a bunch of scraps. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Yeah. Shout out to Duncan Robinson, man, because he did not play, and obviously Spoelstra had to put him in to replace Tyler Hero, and he's been unbelievable. He had that. Oh, yeah, and Oladipo, too. So, Duncan Robinson off the bench has been hitting threes and had a nice little lob to Bam Adebayo. So, shout out to the Miami Heat, man. That Heat culture, that coaching, and Jimmy, man, Jimmy Butler, man. That boy a dog, man. I miss you so much, boy. I miss you so much.
So do the Timberwolves and so do the Sixers, too. So.
Imagine him on the Sixers, man. They would have an NBA Finals appearance, at least.
Probably, at least.
Him and Embiid would be a nice combo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this series, man. Obviously, super happy with the outcome so far. Obviously, you've been watching the pod for a while. You know, I've kind of ridden the Miami Heat the past couple of years, and I mean, they were the number one seed last year, right? And
pretty much the same roster. Like
same roster.
Very similar roster. Like maybe plus or minus one player. Very similar roster.
They had the injuries, but man, they've had guys just step up. And I think one of the things that I've caught on, and I think I know for a fact he did not miss a shot in the first two games. Robert Williams, we've always talked about him as kind of being like the anchor for that Celtics side. They always need him. You know, his injuries have caused some hesitation for some, if you're a betting man or woman, you know, oh, Robert Williams is out. You know, I don't know if the Celtics really going to be that much of a glue on the defensive side. But man, against this Heat team with Bam being their biggest dude, he is a liability on the defensive side. Because Bam, I mean, you saw what he did to just Jaylen Brown yesterday on that spin cycle dunk, man. He just abused him. You expect Robert Williams to step out and, you know, face guard Caleb Martin when they go on a switch and he just pulls up in his face or drives by him. I mean, Caleb Martin, I think a lot of people were assuming that, yeah, he's going to be hitting some nice threes. Dude, that man finishes really well around the rim. I mean, he's made some tough shots, tough drives and layups that I really wasn't expecting. And like you said, Zoo, Duncan Robinson, obviously last night it was a blowout. It was pretty much set by halftime. I think they were up 20 at half. All they had to do was come out with a bit of a surge in the third quarter and really close that game out. But Duncan putting up 22, hitting, I think, five. How many threes did he hit? 5 threes?
Five threes on 71% shooting.
And that's huge. I mean, they shot as a team. I think they shot 54% from three as a team yesterday. I mean, I don't care how well you're playing.
Silly. That is silly.
I don't care how well. Even if the Celtics played a near perfect game, I still think they would have lost that game because they were just that hot. And the fact that I know it's obviously not that big of a deal because they are up 3-0 and we'll be seeing game 4, potentially a sweep tomorrow. But their ability to just take this Celtics team out and give Jimmy and Bam the ability to sit from like the mid third quarter onwards and not come back in the game.
Huge.
That's huge because I know they keep saying this on a lot of the, ESPN shows or whatever, inside OT after on TNT games, but you don't want to give them any momentum, the Celtics. Obviously, I think that was more of a game 3 point. Like, hey, you guys need to win game 3 so that they can't kind of make it 2-1 and potentially, force a tied series going back to Boston. But you still want to take this in 4 games because your opponent, probably going to be the Nuggets, is likely going to clean up tonight. I think they will.
Yeah.
If anything, it might go 5. I think you could echo the same thing for the Heat Celtics. But you want as much time as possible, especially with a guy like Jimmy Butler, man, who's playing at least 41 minutes a game besides this past game 3. Any rest that you can is huge. And also, we got to start talking about a potential Tyler Hero timetable. I know, Sean, you might have mentioned that last week, but there was 4 to 6
like
weeks
he's going to be in the
finals,
yeah.
man. June 1st.
So
that's a long time from now.
Exactly. So we'll see. Will that put everything in a ruckus for this team, or will they be able to kind of integrate him back in and make it smooth?
I think he would have to come off the bench. He would have to.
He cannot ruin it. They have such
be,
continuity right now.
Very judicious in terms of how much. I would not be giving him a lot of time because I just would want to see how it plays out. And if it gets funky, he's sitting down until you're needed. Because, like you said, you don't want to mess with this mojo of how they're playing in the playoffs. But to me, and all due respect to the Miami Heat, it's to be the Heat culture. Everybody makes fun of it, but it's a thing. We know it's a real thing. Spoelstra has instilled the Heat culture. Pat Riley has instilled the Heat culture. Jimmy has taken to it, and you see it's been a trickle-down effect for the team. But I still think it's a huge indictment on Boston. Like, I was looking back because I follow the NBA history page on IG, and I was like, anytime it's a date, it goes through like this happened on this date, however many years ago. Like, we probably know this because we follow the sport, but it's like, I don't know how many people recognize like this core of Tatum, Smart, and Brown has been together since LeBron was in his second stint at Cleveland. Like that 2018 scene, like when they basically took LeBron 7 games. That's how long this core, that little nucleus has been together. Now everything around it has changed, but that nucleus has been together. So if they do get swept, one of those 3 has to go. They cannot go back the same next year. Somebody out of that group has to go. It could be Smart, and they could keep the core. Somebody has to go.
Yeah.
Somebody has to go.
But if I'm the Celtics right now.
Wait, let me finish this point though. Like, the reason why I say that is because of not the physical, not the we know they got the dudes. It's the how do you come back from being swept from 4-0 when literally Jaylen Brown, who all due respect, all NBA, has been considered a two-way player, has been a no-show on defense.
God awful.
Not taking shots, not making shots in fourth quarters. Like Marcus Smart thinking he's better than those two, and he's probably been thinking that since LeBron, like during when LeBron was there in 2018. Like Marcus Smart just thinking, well, I'm really deep down, I'm not going to say it out loud, but deep down, I think I'm the better player. Like I think it's too much of a bad funk within that core to where I think it would be malpractice. Be like, oh, we'll just figure it out and do it again next year. Because it's like, because then you're now looking at Jaylen Brown getting a super max, but they're going to have to give him. They're not going to give him that. He's going to get that. So it's like, if they do get swept, now they win game 5 and they go back home and make a 6-game winner, then this is a moot point. But to me, it's just like, it can't just be stubborn because, we just have two wing guys. Because I'm trying to think back in history of people want to go back, because I saw people make comparisons of Wade and LeBron. Like they lost in that first series against Dallas, but then they went back and won back-to-back championships. So that's, even though, and LeBron and Wade wasn't great fits. And you're kind of starting to see what Tatum and Brown, I think it's a power struggle I think it's a real thing. They don't know who the leader is of the team. Because if I ask you right now, who's the leader of the Boston Celtics?
Al Horford.
I would agree.
And that's a problem. That's the problem.
It's Al Horford.
Respect to Al Horford, he can make threes, but he should not be the leader when you got two guys who are in their mid-20s. I don't know. It's just,
all NBA.
They got a lot of social. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, the thing is, I totally get it. They failed a lot, but you got to look at how successful they've been. Making to the conference finals year after year after year is no easy feat. That is no. To be that consistent, due to the changes. Like they had the Gordon Hayward, the Kyrie Irving, Isaiah Thomas. Like they've gone through iterations of this roster, and being able to repeatedly get into the conference finals is still impressive. Like if you look at the East for the next year, what's going on with that Philly team? I ain't scared of that team. James Harden might bounce.
Well, I don't like him now that Harden's not coming back.
Embiid is wetting the bed every single postseason right now. So that Sixers team ain't that scary. I say that like obviously the Miami Heat maybe to come back to the same roster. Okay, you got them out there. And they got obviously the Milwaukee Bucks, and they're looking for a new coach right now.
Cavs.
Chris Middleton might not come back, so that situation looming. Giannis free agency in the future. So there's a lot of looming things in the East that if you look at next year, maybe Vegas outs, they're probably top 2 like favorites of making out of the East again with this same exact roster. So they're going to be
this year
in the hunt again.
This year, everything broke for them this year.
I would give you that if Ime Udoka was still the head coach, because they don't have a head coach right now.
Yeah,
they don't even have an.
That is fair. Can't argue that.
That's the thing. That's the one thing I would be all with you if they hate Ime Udoka and they wet the bed against the Miami.
Yes.
But the coach,
they might sweep the Heat if they got
Ime. For sure. And you got comments about Marcus Smart being like, "Yo, Missoula got a lot to work on." Like, so they got guys on the roster calling up the head coach, be like, "Yo, he doesn't know what the hell's going on." Like, that was
at the end of the day, though, they have a more talented team. Like, I know, sure, Spoelstra's been great, but
that's why I give
all these guys.
It's like the best coach versus like the worst coach in the playoffs. So that mismatch is huge.
But you can't coach Caleb Martin to just be reigning. You can't coach Duncan Robinson to be making nearly every three he's taking. They also got to be good as players.
You know why?
The Celtics players are being subpar.
The reason they're hitting so many threes is because the defensive rotations has not been good in the playoffs. A lot of that.
Jaylen Brown also kind of that's been surprising. Like you got to have some pride as a player. You're an All NBA player. Like why is he not picking a guy like this? I mean, maybe Butler might be hard to contain, but like Jaylen Brown should take it personal that Caleb Martin is just doing whatever he wants to do.
Exactly. Like
he should take that first.
I'm saying the defense is not playing as well, and it's the same exact roster, and a lot of that is coaching. A lot of defensive rotations, like they have the talent.
So how much percent would you put on it if you had to do out of 100? How much percent would you put on it?
Missoula, I put like 85% on Missoula. The coaching.
85? I could maybe if you would have said 50.
Because I give you that Tatum is not a natural leader. I give you that. Tatum is just he doesn't have that intangible that some guys like the
field goal in the fourth quarter.
Jimmy Butler. He doesn't have the intangible. He got that AD intangible, man. He's a beta, man. Really, that's what he is. And personality-wise, that's who he is. And that's
inconsistency, I can see that. He's got a lot of AD with the inconsistent
Yeah,
play.
He's a beta in his personality, man. He's a beta, man. He ain't no alpha. He ain't no Jimmy Butler, woof, man. That dude a dog, man. That dude, Jason Tatum got a little puppy in him. Superstar talent, but he got a little puppy intangibles in him. But obviously, the Jaylen Brown situation is pretty, like, the way he talks about Boston Celtics fans, how he doesn't really like them. He doesn't talk shit about the city. Like, that is a huge thing that I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like that. You don't hear about that like any other place right now. There's a high in the playoffs right now outside of D'Lo. But Jaylen Brown right now, like, that is worrisome. But you got to give him the Supermax, and then you can leverage him in a trade.
Yeah, you have to.
You give him the Supermax, and you trade him in the future. Like, don't even try to negotiate, because if you lose him as an asset, that would be a massive loss, and you could flip Jaylen Brown for an all-star in his prime. Yeah, so if there's a star that demands a trade, Jaylen Brown, try to rebuild a young team, he's the perfect asset to flip. So give him the Supermax, and then you can figure out the situation later, right? But if he wants to stay, man, get a new head coach. Nick Nurse is on the market. I'm trying to get Nick Nurse right now, man, because I think he's an unbelievable head coach.
Not Doc Rivers? Back home?
Oh, Jesus
homecoming.
Man,
you the homecoming show.
This Doc Rivers situation, man, I get deja vu with this brother, man. Every time he goes to a team, gets an opportunity, he just fails, man. He fails. Like, he's like with Doc Rivers, they probably don't even make it to the conference finals, man. He didn't do that once with Philly.
I don't know.
He didn't do that. He didn't do that once with Philly. He didn't do that once with the Clippers. Like, he has not made the conference finals in two great situations. So that's Doc Rivers trying not stopping. No, I'm trying to get Nick Nurse right now, man. I'm trying to get Nick Nurse for this team. I feel like Milwaukee Bucks are also going after Nick Nurse right now. So there's going to be a fire sale of championship contenders.
And I wonder what position. Yeah, I wonder which one he would be like more.
Yeah, I'm like from his perspective.
I'm pretty sure he has some back channel stuff.
I'd take
Like
Boston.
he might be hearing like if he's getting assurances about which I mean, what does that mean nowadays? Especially with NBA superstars, they can be telling you, "Yeah, I'm gonna be here next year," and then be in another city, a year from now. But that would be interesting to see who he would probably take. I would tend to believe that just because of Giannis being just that, I think he's a level above Tatum and Brown.
Man, talking about the Warriors, some fan asked about the Warriors, man. He's like, you never know, man. I don't know, man. You already won a championship in Milwaukee. He owes the city nothing.
I don't even like that fit.
I don't know. Giannis and Steph, man, I like the fit, man.
I mean,
you can make it work.
They would make it work, but it would look weird, especially if you had to get rid of the whole team. But
that would be absurd.
Yeah. That pick just because he's also been there 9 years.
Yeah, but it's definitely going to be interesting, assuming that Boston gets dealt with in 4 or 5 games. It's going to be interesting in offseason to see what they do because, I think we all agree Jalen's going to get the Supermax. But then if he does get the Supermax, is it kind of a handshake agreement that, look, we're going to sign this and now we can get you where you want to go? Because I still under belief, somebody has to go. That's why I put Smart in there because that nucleus, if you're looking at it from Boston's perspective, you're just like, well, I mean, shoot, we still got 2 of the best all-NBA wings. I don't want to get rid of them. So let's just switch it up because they switched everything else up outside of those 3. So it's maybe we just need to get rid of Smart, find a sucker that can trade us some, future first rounders or, a nice little 3-and-D wing, whatever. But, we'll see with that. And last but not least, last week we were on Monday and we were not able to see the lottery, but, it happened last Tuesday and it was a lot of discussion. And I'm going to just go ahead and get my theory out here now. I am a conspiracy theorist with this particular thing. Not a lot of stuff outside of the, whatever people believe in and their theories. Just exclusively with the basketball lottery, the NBA lottery. You cannot tell me that the San Antonio Spurs did not get a little bit of favor considering that you have Popovich, he can be whatever, an asshole to the media, but he's well respected around the league. He is that night.
By everyone.
He really is an asshole, but he's well respected within players, coaches, whatever. He's part of Team USA, whatever. Then you have the foreign aspect of you have Ginobili, you have Parker, happens to be French. You have all these other players. You had, Tim Duncan, one of the greatest power forwards ever, U.S. Virgin Islands. You have all this international flavor. Then out of nowhere, I read an article where it's you just happen to have a $500 million facility that's being built that's going to be ready in the next couple of months or a year. And you're telling me that, we think that Victor Wembanyama with the Spurs and Popovich and that trusted organization, because I know Kawhi had his issues, but for the most part, they've been a trusted organization. We don't think that would be a match made in heaven. Get out of here. You know what I think? I think Charlotte won it, and they were like, we can't have that. We can't have him with LaMelo running around in Charlotte. I think Charlotte won, and San Antonio got pushed to be the team for Wembanyama. You cannot tell me that was not orchestrated. It makes too much sense. San Antonio has been the franchise that has been the model franchise of the NBA. Everybody, for the most part, likes the San Antonio Spurs. So you can't sit there and tell me that this is all not lined up for that. Come on. The Spurs has had you get Tim Duncan, you get David Robinson. What? And then all of a sudden, the lineage of the big man, even though he plays like a guard, the lineage of the 7'5" guy just happens to go to San Antonio. It's rigged. I'm sorry. This right here, let me put the nail in the coffin. It's rigged. Well, to me,
it's not like they were the 7th worst record in the league.
They have the top 4 odds of getting it.
Yeah,
they were top 4 worst odds.
I agree.
It's pretty chalk. Outside of Detroit had the best odds winning. They fell out to 5th, but based on percentage-wise, it was 52% getting the 5th pick. 48% getting top 4. So it was more likely than not for them to get the 5th pick rather than top 4 pick. So those are the odds.
I get your point.
Come on, P. Bush. I know you with me a little bit on this, P. Bush.
San Antonio, Houston, and Charlotte, it was pretty chalk that it happened. And when it got picked, obviously, San Antonio just it did not surprise me.
That's what I'm saying. It's to me, it just seems like it's storybook.
because they're just the luckiest franchise in
They
NBA
are.
history with the lottery, man.
They are.
Getting David
I
Robinson,
wonder why.
Tim Duncan, they're just lucky.
No,
the number one pick, they're rarely in the lottery. But if they're in the lottery, they get the number one pick. They're just lucky. It's a lucky franchise because if it was really rigged, it would have been my Dallas conspiracy theory. They would have been knocked out. Someone would have popped in as a middle finger to Mark Cuban. When that shit didn't happen, I'm like, oh.
But I don't think the league though with the like I know that I understand that theory, but I think with the league that did piss them off. But it ain't going to piss them off to the point where the league is going to deliberately do something to one of their 31 or 32 owners. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do something to where it's going to piss off Mark Cuban, because you got to understand a lot of these owners, like, I mean, I don't know how it is similar to the NFL, but like Roger Goodell works for the owners. Like the owners that if he were to do that to Mark Cuban could get a couple of his other billionaire owner friends and get Adam Silver out of there. He has more power than Adam Silver if he's collected. Like Adam Silver is not this commissioner where he can just have the power to just do something to Mark Cuban. Like which I do believe your theory, like that could have been more probable, but I'm just saying it just, to me, it just feels like, and if you want to talk about it, like
with that same
San Antonio was blatantly just like they were blatantly taking the entire season, and Greg Popovich wasn't shy about it, even though he came on the record and said they were blatantly tanking. Like that's disrespectful. Not even trying to compete in the league because they were not trying to win at all. Like but they got dudes that, you know who else was really bad? Like you said, they were in the top four. So Detroit, Houston, all those guys, whatever. But like
the Spurs
to me, the Spurs were trash, but you can't tell me they're that much trasher than San Antonio. Like I know they're on the top four. It's all the same. You know what I think I have a beef with is the system of the lottery. Like I do like that it's a night and we get to do it before the playoffs, but I do think it kind of sucks, even though I guess you can say they have the top four odds, but just that whole thing of top four, like I do think it kind of sucks that, you know, a team like Detroit, Houston, whatever, especially teams that don't, you know, you could say Detroit with the bad boy 2.0, they had a system of like having success, but it's just like a franchise like Houston, like I just feel like if you have the worst record, even though they say it makes it more competitive, but to me it doesn't make it more competitive, because if you're in that top four, you have an equal chance to get number one pick. So if you just are bad for that, however, in that top four range, you're going to have a chance to get the number one pick. So it doesn't really, how they try to say it gives competitive balance. It's like, I just think the Spurs, it's just, I don't think it's luck. I just don't think they're lucky. It's nothing luck about it. I think there's a method to this madness. Wembanyama is a generational talent. And what other, like, they're comparing him to LeBron. So what other franchise do you want him to go to than the Spurs? You don't want him going to Charlotte because that's a shit show. You don't want him going to, like, I wouldn't have been mad at that because at least that's a franchise that has a you know, at least a history of winning, and it's you know, it's respected among other franchises. But in terms of the San Antonio Spurs, to me, I don't think it's luck, because when you're talking about same thing with LeBron, he was looked at it at the time was like, this is a one-time type of talent. So you just think Cleveland, who happened to be bad, like for narrative, like you don't think it's just possible. Let's just go ahead and put him in Cleveland, and he's this type of guy and lift Cleveland. And it worked because, you know, LeBron was 22 years old, 23 years old, taking them to the final. So it got Cleveland their notoriety, and he came back win a championship for him. But it's just like, to me, I can't get with the luck stuff, because I really do feel like the NBA is like, no, we're taking care of this generational talent who's a creative player, and we're putting him in San Antonio because that's the most stable franchise that everyone respects. You can't sit there and say that wasn't a factor, because they don't want to put him in Houston. Why would you put him in Houston? And you saw his reaction when he saw he didn't go to Houston. He was just like, yes. He knew what time it was. Like, they have a video of Victor Wembanyama, like, literally making a facial expression, like, excited that he did not go to Houston. You don't think he had an idea he was going to San Antonio? Like, I'm not buying it.
His excitement. He was hyped that he saw Houston because he didn't know where he was going to go.
I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Listen, I get with it,
like,
man.
He was like, fuck yeah, I'm not going to the freaking Rockets.
Who was it?
Jalen Green's chucking threes.
It was somebody on the Rockets. I don't know who it was. Probably was a 6-man. He quote tweeted that picture and was like, you know, had the emoji of like the writing down emoji, like I saw what you said. Like he even saw that as like disrespect. It's like, bro, it wasn't no, at least how he read it, it wasn't, oh, I'm excited to go to San Antonio. It's like, oh, thank God I ain't got to go to Houston. Like, I think he already had an idea. I'm probably going to be in San Antonio. He had an idea he was going to be in San Antonio. Listen, they just built a $500 million facility. Why would they do that? Like, come on, guys. Like, It's not. I don't think
I
like.
mean,
I don't think it's far fetched. That's all I'm saying.
No, just accepted that they're the luckiest franchise in NBA history, even though it was strategically good tanking. Like they went all out tanking for Wembanyama.
Yeah.
So they planned.
But they started the year winning.
Yeah, exactly. They tried it actually in the beginning. It wasn't like the process. It was year after year of being in the bottom 5. It was very strategic that this year they're gonna suck, and hopefully the lottery balls are lucky, and they got lucky again. And props to them, man. The luckiest franchise ever, man. They got Tim Duncan, David Robinson.
This is the last question I'll ask.
Man. Maybe lucky things happen to good franchises, man. Lucky things happen.
Let me ask you a question. I'll just ask this question. I want you guys to be as honest as you could be. If you're Adam Silver, where would you rather have him go? San Antonio, Charlotte, or Houston? Be honest.
Me? Oh, probably Houston. It's the biggest city.
You don't believe that?
No,
Zoo, what's your
answer?
My answer is
it's the biggest market.
Thank you, Zoo, for being up front. Thank you. Zoo's being up front. That's all I needed to hear. That's all I needed to hear.
It doesn't mean anything, man. It doesn't mean anything.
I just want to hear you say it.
You know what, Adam Silver, man? I want him on the Chicago Bulls, man. I want him on a good team.
I know that. Listen, if he would have went to the Bulls, I would have been excited for that because he's in a huge market. And yeah,
exactly. But
yeah, I would have been excited for that.
Global brand, like that would have been my pick, but I like the awful.
Listen, the reason why I can't go with Houston,
sports. He's the worst owner.
They're getting Harden back.
That's exactly why I don't think
that's another reason
he was going to go to Houston. Because I don't think he's going to go to Houston.
But they also have
I don't know,
more talent right now than the Spurs do. Like the Spurs,
they do have more talent than the Spurs.
Else.
I don't know. That's just. And listen, I
got some nice role players.
I want to live.
Wemby ain't gonna be carrying them to the finals.
I don't know. He might be able to carry them to the playing tournament, man. We ain't talking about five. It's got baby steps. Man.
Congratulations.
I gotta at least see him in summer league and see how he gets down in summer league. I think he's gonna carry him to a play-in spot.
Dude's gonna be averaging 22 and 9 and like 2 blocks, man. That's what he's gonna be doing. His rookie year. He'd be balling.
But I know for a fact, like you guys are not crazy because I've had the same exact conversation in my group chat, and everybody's just being like, you're being a conspiracy theorist. But I just don't think it's just
There's no.
When I saw that, I was like, of course,
there's no need
that's
for that because the league's in a good spot. I believe back in the 80s when the league was on tape delay and the league was almost out of business, they did some fishy business with AKA Patrick Ewing trying to save the league. But currently, right now, the league is healthy. They make a bunch of money. They're about to sign another massive TV contract with Disney/Turner Sports. So the league is flush with cash right now. So there's no need to take that risk as far as that. Like it's just risk reward ratio. Like they don't need to do that. In the 80s, yeah, for sure. People were on drugs back in the day. The league was on tape delay. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird.
League was not healthy.
Those guys, David Stern, they had to do whatever it takes to save the league. So,
but I am excited.
Now I don't.
But I am excited though to see Wemby, once because he's going number 1 to see like how he acclimates himself in the NBA and the summer league. That is the storyline, and I think with the Spurs, I will give them this credit. He's going to get great coaching. He's going to get a lot of experience. I think that organization as a whole is going to do right by him. So I will be interested to see like if he, in the $500 million facility that they're about to open, all the nutrition and all the, weight training and all that stuff he's going to go through, which he's already been getting at now, but it's going to be on steroids that once he gets to the NBA. I'm going to be interested to see, like, once he gets into the summer league and into the actual season to see how his body feels out. He, plays his potential and does what he needs to do. So we will be talking about the lottery, real soon because I think the draft is end of June?
Right after the finals.
I think.
Yeah, it's like,
it's
like a couple weeks.
It's right down the road. So we will be giving in, I guess we'll do a couple pods about a couple player comps because I know we just spent 15, 20 minutes talking about Wemby, but there are other exciting players in this draft. And it's going to be interesting too. I think a lot of teams are going to be trading and trying to get out and trying to figure out what stars they can get on their teams and trade picks for. So make sure you guys tune into that. Bullheaded_pod is where I put all the Instagram posts. Quantro knows is where I put my YouTube videos, edits, all that type of stuff. Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Make sure you subscribe. Leave us I'm starting to do polls on there now, so make sure you guys vote on those polls and give us 5-star reviews. And for me, Zoo, and P. Bush, we are out.